thank you for being available on short notice. Generally, I have a Rolodex of all Nobel Prize winners, and I had to get to R. So that's how hard it is. Your Nobel Peace Prize. Is there any chance you would give it to our guy and save us all?
I knew you were going to ask.
Son of a... How are you doing? As you're watching, not really the market working, but the government interceding in putting pressure on various things, how much is this moment resonating with you, with your experiences? For those who don't know, you were imprisoned in the Philippines for writing truth.
I have 11 arrest warrants, or had 11 arrest warrants in a little over a year.
Right. But only 4 were coke. Which is, I want to make sure people know that. But it's the same type of thing.
You know, I gotta say, since 2016, I've been saying over and over and over, and I guess I'm just gonna say, I told you so.
You've said it to me many times.
Yes.
And I've always said, we're resilient in our civic institutions.
And he really has.
I really have said that to him.
Yeah, he said, no, it's not gonna happen here.
Right.
Yeah.
Oops. Hello. What was it about how you were watching it? Are you at least surprised by the speed of it and the breadth of it?
When we talked in March, I was saying this is going much faster than in the Philippines when Rodrigo Duterte took office. So the Philippines has a constitution patterned after the United States, 3 co-equal branches of government. And he collapsed our institutions within 6 months, right?
Do you think it's weird it's taken Trump 8?
I think he did it in the first 100 days.
No, he did, yeah.
Yeah, because if you think about it, 143 executive orders.
Right.
And then if you look at the way that shaped the reality of everybody, right? I think that was why we spoke in March, because I was like, this is happening. If you do not reclaim your rights, if you don't stand up, it's going to be significantly harder to claw them back.
Let me ask you about, you've got 3 branches of government. Were they compliant? I think in this moment, they're compliant here, right? It hasn't been at their objection. It's been at their inaction.
So it's identical to what happened. Identical to what happened in the Philippines, right?
Interesting.
And so I feel like it's both deja vu and PTSD. I mean,
right.
You have an executive, very powerful, which, by the way, our first President Marcos declared martial law by executive order.
Right.
That was in the 70s. Anyway, you have an executive. The legislature is the one that's supposed to hold him in check in real time.
Right.
And the judiciary maintains the rule of law, right? Well, what happened in the Philippines
I want you to have a third hand to show me this. I want to see how this model actually works.
Well, so what happened? This collapsed.
Right.
Which was shocking. It was shocking to watch, but the very first line of defense you had were the Republicans.
Right.
And then when that collapsed, that meant in real time, I mean, are you going to get USAID workers back? All of those things that happened that were implemented in the first 100
appropriations
days,
and money that was done.
All of that has happened, and that now is normal. Right? And you can, whether it's in the physical world or in the virtual world. And then the judiciary, I watched the same thing happen here that happened to us, which is the individual judges and justices become targeted, and holding up rule of law becomes that much harder. But here's your other thing, and this is, Silicon Valley is American after all, right? How can you have rule of law if you don't have facts?
What is that last word? We were told, so here's what's been interesting. We've been told that any attempt to check facts was a curb on free speech, that any policing on public platforms of anything that occurred, and by the way, some of it was not right, some of it was unjust, some of it was censorious,
yeah.
But it didn't mean, and we were told that the principle here, they've said it, we're going to be the most free speech, we're going to be the most open, and they've just redefined what speech means. What free speech means is free speech is speech that supports the president.
Are you
And that's the new definition.
Are you talking about the tech CEOs or the president's men and women?
Well, but are they different? I mean, when you have that kind of meshing, right?
Yes.
He threatened Mark Zuckerberg with jail because of Zuckerbucks, which were bipartisan. They went out. It wasn't even electioneering.
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg went, did you say jail? Which apparently is the only thing that's worse than being in the metaverse. But I'm not sure which is worse, actually. But he flips over. Now we've got tech. I mean, Elon Musk spent over $100 million to get this man elected, but that's not seen as interference. They
corruption.
have joined together, and they're consolidating their power.
Yes.
Is that a similar? You know, in Philippines it's a little different. Basically, social media in Philippines was more like it was Facebook.
No, I mean, primarily Facebook,
Years ago.
but, you know, I
Yeah.
would say for 6 years, these are stats, for 6 years in a row until 2021, Filipinos spent the most time online and on social media globally. And
Out of anybody?
out of anybody globally. And so what the Cambridge Analytica whistleblower said, you guys remember that, 2018, right?
I do indeed.
So what he said was that they tested tactics of mass manipulation in our country, and if they worked in our country, they ported it to yours.
Wait, this is like the McRib? They took they did a test sandwich and ran it in like some place in Columbus, and we're like, these people love this shit.
And we kept telling you this was happening, right? In 2016, I said this in Silicon Valley. I said, what is happening to us is coming for you. 2016, right? And nothing was done. And if anything, all those safeguards that they tried to put in place have been ripped off in time for the 2024 elections.
But it hadn't to that point. In my mind, they had weaponized that brain hack for profit. They hadn't yet weaponized that brain hack for political consolidation and power. That's what feels different.
No, what happened in the Philippines is just happening to you.
Yes, no, I meant in our country.
In your country.
It felt like they
Yeah.
weaponized the algorithm for profit. Now they're weaponizing it for both profit and political consolidation.
They went hand in hand for most of the rest of the world. I mean, you're
Right.
not exceptional in this sense. There is a dictator's playbook, right?
You think we fell for it? We're just a run-of-the-mill country that falls for this?
Oh
It
my
really is a
gosh.
playbook. That's why they studied Hungary, they studied soft autocracy, they studied hard autocracy. They used the same, man, when I watch them and they go on and they go, we fired a missile at a Venezuelan drug boat. I think about Duterte and I think about...
That's extrajudicial killings in our country. That's
Right.
what we called it, right? And
that's
I
how
mean,
we consolidated through the fear on a
anger,
mass
fear,
scale.
anger, hate. Fear, anger, hate. So it's like, we'll say this one more time because I feel like, you know, Sisyphus and Cassandra combined.
Mm-hmm.
We kept saying this.
Hold on, that is a great idea for a movie. Hold on.
By design, these platforms spread lies. Social media spreads lies
Right.
by a 2018 MIT study at least 6 times faster. So by design, lies spread faster. That's the incentive. And then in 2017, we saw in our country, in the Philippines, that if you lace it with fear, anger, and hate, it can go viral. That's the incentive structure.
Right.
So that was used to attack us. Now, imagine if you're pumped full of, in the Nobel lecture, I called it toxic sludge. Online violence is real-world violence. So they hacked our biology, thinking fast, thinking slow. We're thinking fast people. Our emotions, they change the way we feel.
Reptilian.
To change the way we look at the world, to change the way we act, to change the way we vote. And as of March this year, VDEM in Sweden said that 72% of the world is now under authoritarian rule, that we are electing illiberal leaders democratically because of insidious manipulation.
Right.
So they go hand in hand,
That we have
money
in
and
our
power.
pocket. And now with the horrific events in Utah, everybody has the Zapruder film of it in their pocket.
And it wasn't taken down on social media,
No.
right? Yeah.
Horrifying. And it's, you know what I liken it to some extent? Because this type of manipulation, it will always exist. You know, I liken it to this. It's like a chef. A chef has a couple of tricks.
Yes.
You come into a restaurant, what's a chef going to do? He's going to be like, you know what? I want these people to come back. I'm going to throw in a little extra butter. I'm going to add a little bit of sugar to the marinara. But it's still within the realm of. But then you look at ultra-processed food, and you realize that's different. That's guys in lab coats trying to figure out how to bypass whatever biological signals you give that cause you to stop eating, to bypass that to make you sick. And it's so interesting because you watch Maha talk about, we have to get rid of ultra-processed foods. It's killing us, it's making us fat, and then Big Pharma comes in and they give us GLPs, and it's a big cycle. But nobody talks about ultra-processed speech. And that's the difference. The algorithm is ultra-processed. It's not about adding a little bit of humor or a little bit of fear or a little bit of outrage. It's about designing a machine.
Yes, absolutely.
Me and Maria
No,
won the
sorry.
Nobel Prize! I won it too! Oh my God, I can't believe we're both Nobel Prize winners. Maria, I want to talk about it right now in this country. So many people are living on eggshells, on the whims of one man, whether you're a researcher in a university or a day laborer outside of a Home Depot, or someone who shitposts on Twitter, or there are so many people in so many spheres, or whether you're a small business that doesn't understand the diabolical whims of tariffs and how they're being laid out just willy-nilly. What do you do with that? I know that must have been what it's like in the Philippines. An authoritarian regime, civic institutions and the way that they function, they can be abysmal, but they provide a certain stability. I've never seen this country where so many are living on eggshells.
And part of that is precisely because there hasn't been enough. I mean, we were talking about this. There hasn't been. It feels like Americans are like deer in headlights.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel that way.
But if you don't move and protect the rights you have, you lose them. And it's so much harder to reclaim them. It will
But
have
how
been.
do you they keep saying, our leaders, the ones that we elected to keep an eye on this, keep going on TV and going, you've got to speak up. And you're like, here? Like, right now? Out the window? Like, for what? Like, there is no real sense of process or scaffolding that could create a ladder out of this hole.
But this is
You're
is
about
why.
to choke me, aren't you?
No. You know, so let me just say what this moment is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been struggling, and I just came from Australia, and
You're a very optimistic person. I know that.
so this
For
is
everything you've been through.
There were two ways I was going to describe this moment, and it does start with the manipulation and the corruption of our public information ecosystem, right? So I was saying, is this an information apocalypse, or is it an information Armageddon?
Okay. Those are our. So
Those
you
are
are
your-
a very optimistic person, and our
Really-
choice is apocalypse or Armageddon.
But that's why, because I'm optimistic, I chose Armageddon,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Because, no, think about it. Part of it is, apocalypse is done. It's the end of the world.
Apocalypse is the end.
But Armageddon is the battle. This is the battle,
Right.
right?
Peaceful. Peaceful.
Peaceful.
And by the way, so without this going in that direction, then I want to talk about. This was when was Duterte? When did he take power?
2016.
He's gone.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so...
So this isn't, it didn't last forever. And your work, your lone voice crying out from the apartment that they forced you to be in, and the imprisonment that they were looking for, it's over. He's not there anymore.
So it wasn't, I wasn't jailed for very long. I'm very lucky in this, right? But let me put it this way. Our lawyers told us I was crazy. And I had a company. And by the way, nothing puts a news organization, coheres, makes it feel so good to be a journalist than a news organization that is mission-driven. Right? When we came under attack, Rappler came together in ways we could never have done
Preach
before.
that to the heavens. That is so true and so missing.
So what we saw was that if you stand up, if you just keep going, because our lawyers told us I was crazy. Right? Do you negotiate with President Duterte or not? How can you negotiate when you can't give him what he wants?
Right.
So we didn't.
Which is fealty.
i.e., you can't do your job.
Right.
Right? So, and then here's what happened. We just kept doing our jobs. We just kept putting one foot in front of the other. A year where I had 11 arrest warrants and then was convicted. And I have to ask for permission to travel from the Philippine Supreme Court until today. But in March this year, Rodrigo Duterte was arrested on alleged crimes against humanity, and he is now in jail in The Hague, waiting for his trial.
Wow. And it's not, listen, and that doesn't mean it's over. And I understand that, you know, in the Philippines, his daughter, and certainly the Philippines has a long tradition of family dynasties, and that still exists there, and there's still, I'm sure,
Yes.
choppy waters ahead for Maria Ressa.
Well, let's say we move from hell to purgatory, right? It's not bad. It's not bad. You gotta take
the
the
next
wins.
book has got to be From Apocalypse to Armageddon. A story of optimism, Maria Ressa. Maria, I can't tell you enough what a salve for the soul you always are. Whenever I get a chance to talk to you, whenever I get a chance to see you. Thank you so much for coming by in this unbelievably strange deer in headlight time, and I so appreciate you coming on.
No, thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure.